As you can tell, it's another beautiful day in Martinsville. It is absolutely perfect. We're getting ready for happy hour here at Martinsville Speedway. And, of course, our race coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on ESPN with countdown starting at noon. And the big question mark will be, what's going to happen to the top three contenders in the chase? Well, taking a look at the starting grid for the top three, we've got the front, the middle, and the back of the field entirely covered, with Denny Hamlin doing exactly what he wanted to do. And that was pick up that pole position, put a little pressure on Jimmy, and, of course, Kevin Harvick way back in this field. So as we come inside our ESPN pit studio on the backstretch here at Martinsville Speedway, along with Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, glad that you're with us. Let's talk about what we can expect to see in this final practice.
Yeah, I think we're going to see drivers and teams making longer runs. They want to run 15, 20, maybe even 25 laps to try to see exactly what their car does as those air pressures build up, as the brakes get a lot of heat in them. Do they need to adjust that brake bias a lot? So they want to get all of these things set, make sure that they have their brakes for the race seated in well. So we're going to see longer runs and exactly what their cars will do. They'll probably even see exactly how their car is in traffic.
Yeah, another thing they're going to do is it's going to be a little bit of a compromise here, because they want to have a car that'll go on restarts and be fast right off the bat. And that's hard to do and have that good car in the long run when you really want those air pressures low. You don't want them to build up out of control. So there's going to be a little bit of a compromise. I want to see my car at the top of the speed charts if I can, but I also want to see it really hang in there speed-wise and not fall off in time. So, and this is another thing I like about short tracks, is you can see what the car's doing from the truck. And the crew chiefs can stand up there and they can watch their car, and then when the driver tells them what the car's doing, they can actually see that. And it's I really like that as a crew chief.
Well, let's get more on the top two contenders in the chase for the NASCAR Spring Cup. Let's bring in Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Marty. You know, without a doubt, the monsters of the Midway here at Martinsville are the 48 of Jimmy Johnson and the 11 of Denny Hamlin, who have combined to win the last 8 races in a row, with Jimmy winning 5 and Denny winning 3, including the last 2. So how do they get ready for happy hour? What tops their agenda? Jimmy Johnson right there told me a moment ago he's going to divide the corner into thirds. Entering the corner, the most aggressive braking zone on an oval in all of NASCAR. The center of the corner, where you're going to roll freely, and the exit of the corner, the most aggressive acceleration zone. He said we're going to work on compromise, adjusting all 3 segments and trying not to hurt the other 2, and then try to find a balance. Now, as for Denny Hamlin, Mike Ford said, we'd like to run 20 laps maybe and park it, but it isn't going to happen. In the previous practice session about an hour ago, Denny was really having trouble getting up off the corner. He said after 15 laps, our car went away. They've made a gear change, and they've been working very hard to work the change on the nose weight of the car. We'll see if that helps Denny Hamlin here in this final session. For more in the garage area, let's check in with Mike Massaro.
Doc, the driver trying to reel in those 2 guys in this championship chase is Kevin Harvick. And although his average finish here in Martinsville is just over 18, he said Friday he feels like their performance overall has been pretty good here. Performance, however, was definitely an issue during qualifying. Harvick qualified 36. That's the worst starting position he'll have all season long, and it comes at a very inopportune time. So bad, in fact, that crew chief Gil Martin did just about everything he knew to do to this race car following qualifying on Friday, changing springs, shocks, and bars. And so far, it's worked. In the first practice session this afternoon, he jumped right up the speed chart, was among the top 5 all session long. This session, watch for them to continue their work on forward drive. That's what Martin says they still need to improve on, Marty.
Well, and as you finish up, Mike, we can tell you Kevin Harvick's jumped to the top of the speed charts right here after 5 laps. So he and Clint Boyer are running 1-2, and we probably should point out the fact there's Clint right behind him. They've made a crew swap for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they did. They switched pit crews with Clint Boyer's team. And this is in a move to try to really shore up the pit crew problems they've had on that 29 car, and they've got the best shot at winning this championship at RCR, so I'm sure that's what they're doing. They're trying to put their best assets where they can help them the most.
Yeah, they've put themselves in a hole with their qualifying effort of 36 yesterday, so they want to make sure that they've got the best pit crew there, because that's going to be very critical in them being able to work their way to the front, as Kevin does it on the racetrack. They don't want to give anything up in the pits.
Well, and in that last practice, Harvick was 4th on 10-lap average behind A.J. Allmendinger, Bobby Labonte, and Marcus Ambrose. So looking better for Kevin right now. Let's check in on Jeff Gordon. He has shown 4th quick right now, as in this final practice. You see his numbers there.
Yeah, just Andy was talking about it. It's very important to get some speed out of your race car. We saw Jeff lose this race back earlier this year by really, it wasn't that he didn't have the speed, he just kind of got knocked out of the way, but you want to be able to take off on these restarts, and with the air pressures down, you have to work extremely hard to make that happen.
Well, his teammate Jimmie Johnson has just jumped up to the 3rd spot in the charts. Jeff is right behind him, and these two, take a look at top 10 finishes, most consecutive at any track. At North Wilkesboro, it's Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, Jimmie Johnson, and Jeff Gordon, 16 and 15 respectively here at Martinsville. And Dale, you can attest to how hard that is.
It's just an incredible stat as I look at that and think that somewhere along the way that one of these guys didn't get involved in a bump up, and they started back in the pack before and found themselves back in the middle of a mess, but they continued to work their way, and it just shows how good a feel they have and setup they have for this racetrack.
Jeff working right on the back bumper of Clint Boyer. Now Clint's way up on the speed chart too, so these are two fast cars. Really a good chance for the crews and the crew chief standing on top of the truck to look at this and say, okay, where is that 33 better than say the 24?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You can see different parts of the track. Looks like Jeff is a little better through the center of the corner.
That's right, but you can't pass through the center of the corner here. You're going to have to do it on the exit. And so Jeff might be saying, hey, I'm going to be struggling to pass these cars. We're going to have to work on my forward bite a little bit. But as you do that, you don't want to hurt the center of the corner too much.
It's almost impossible to get these cars to really have the forward bite you want because they got so much power, and it's such a short racetrack that the gearing is such, you just got so much torque going to those rear wheels, it's almost impossible to keep them in contact with the road.
Well, we're starting to see a little movement on the speed charts. Those two cars right now, Greg Biffle has taken over the top spot. Jeff Burton has slid in right behind him, and it's 19.79 seconds, the quick lap right now for Greg Biffle. While we've got a moment, let's talk about the calendar, because NASCAR Now is going to be on tomorrow at 9 a.m. and again at 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And, of course, the roundtable 5 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 on Monday. And then the Sprint Cup Series race from Martinsville, 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on ESPN. And Countdown will kick it off at noon here on ESPN2. Stay with us. A lot more happy hour. Back here at Martinsville in happy hour. Take a look at the 5-lap averages first. Greg Biffle leading the way, and there's Kevin Harvick and Jimmie Johnson. Denny Hamlin down in the 8th spot, guys.
Yeah, I see another car, Jeff Burton, 31 in 5th. His car really looks good out there. He looked good in the first practice and really solid here. All of the RCR cars right up front here in happy hour.
Yeah, they really are. They didn't qualify very well, the best one being 17th, but they've really shown up in practice. We're right along with Denny Hamlin. Looks like they're struggling a little bit with their race car right now.
I'd say a little bit. He's still up there. He's 7th on the speed chart so far. Watching his car in the first practice, it looked like it was over-rotating a little bit through the center. To me, I was just watching it from up here and saw him in the garage area working on changing a lot of the setup stuff. I heard Doc say they're moving nose weight, changing the gear, so see if that's helped them some here.
Yeah, one thing that I'm noticing is there's Matt Kenseth going around. Matt's hasn't been that good here in the past, but I'm watching Denny's lap times, and they continue to fall off, and usually that's where they excel and beat people, is after they get 10 or 12 laps on the tires. That's whenever their car doesn't fall off, but we're not seeing that right now.
Let's get more on the 11 from Dr. Jerry Punch.
You guys are right on talking about Denny Hamlin. The car is good, but only for about 15 laps. And for Denny Hamlin to be really good, as he has been over the years here at Martinsville, Mike Ford said, the critical part for my driver is drive off. I don't worry about entry. I don't worry about middle. He said, but if I can get it where Denny can hammer that throttle, not necessarily just squeeze into it, but get in the throttle and get him to drive off, we'll be really good and tough to handle on Sunday. Right now, that's not the case. After 15 laps, Denny says the car starts to get a little bit loose, although they have made the gear change, and the nose weight has helped it some, but not enough.
Well, he does not show up in the top 10 on the 10-lap average.
Yeah, and you can see he's losing a little bit of time on that exit of the corner to both the 42, who's coming up from behind, and Matt Kenseth in the 17. So you can see him struggling a little bit on that exit. And Denny telling me yesterday that's all that he works on. Is he feels like that his setup and his driving style, he keeps the rear tires on the car better than anyone else. But right now, that's not the case.
So while he continues, let's update the story on the 9 as Eric Almirola in the car right now. He'll be starting 35th in the race and practicing right now 30th. And of course, Casey Kane came out of that seat. The big question mark is right now what's going to happen to this team in the future. Robbie Loomis did hold a news conference this morning, guys, and really almost came away with more questions unanswered than answered as far as how far they're going to be able to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, a lot more uncertainty, I think, that this whole week has shown us about this organization. So a lot of things that it's going to be, looks like right now, kind of week to week, depending on if they're going to be at the racetrack.
We should point out Jack Roush has said they are caught up on all payments, so cars, engines, everything are there, but I guess there's still other issues beyond that they've got to solve.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any confidence at the past Talladega of what their plans really are, so it's just stay tuned, we'll find out.
And of course Marcus Ambrose is scheduled to move over to that 9 car next year, and he is a very interested spectator at this point. He's 14th on the speed charts right now. Did a very nice job in qualifying yesterday.
Andy made the point yesterday of just how this short racetrack here, flat corners, would remind you a little bit of a lot of road courses, and of course that's where Marcus excels. And,
well, you know, the biggest thing about Marcus and how good he is on road courses is how he uses the brakes. I mean, he's able to get the most out of the brakes on these, you know, road course tight corners, and this is exactly how you make time here. The only difference is here you're doing it every lap, you know, as hard as you can into every corner, and saving those brakes and having some at the end is sometimes, you know, a little bit of a skill in itself, but Marcus can really make time on the brakes.
He's all over the 2 of Kurt Busch right now, as Kurt 16th on the speed charts. Right up in front of him, there is Jimmy Johnson. Let's check in on him. He is 5th on the 1 lap. And there you see his statistics for 3rd fastest average this season. Doc?
Well, Jimmy was 10th overall, as you said in the previous practice session, but not at all happy with the car. Jimmy said, Chad, I got to turn right to turn left. The car is that loose getting in the middle, and coming off. I really can't use the car like I want to use it. They came in between sessions prior to going out now and made major changes in the car. And Andy Petrie, unlike a regular car in the old days where you could jack a half round in a Rubik's Cube or a puzzle, you got to make so many other adjustments, which they've done, but the car is still very, very loose, and Chad said, okay, we'll bring it back in a minute and work some more.
Yeah, you're right, Doc. Today it is, the car is so sensitive to a lot of changes because of the way they run on the bump stops and, you know, the way they're limited on travel in the front. There's a lot of things. Plus, you know, you hear a lot of times at other racetracks, Charlotte last week, you know, being loose is fast. And if you can hang on to it, it's fast. But here it's a little different. I mean, you've got to be able to hook those rear tires up to be able to launch the car off the corner. So you really can't make time being too loose here.
Well, he is 3rd fastest in this session in 5 and 10 lap average, and he is still 4th in the 15 lap average. All right, how about the last 13 short track winners? Because it has been basically those 3 guys.
That's it. No other winner.
Nope. That's it. If you were not with us yesterday for qualifying, you haven't seen the 18 paint scheme perhaps for Halloween, and I love the one where the M&M, it's on the other side of the car. Yeah, the left rear, he's like been frightened beyond belief.
I don't think it was like that when they put the sticker on. I think that was after qualifying.
Kyle gave him a ride that he would never forget. Great paint scheme. Whoa, that wall gets awfully close when we use that camera shot. Stay with us. Happy hour is going to continue here. Greg Biffle still the fastest. Martinsville is the definition of contact sport. It is a beating and banging affair, and cars never look the same the way they started the race. And if you survive, well, that's half a victory right there. And if you win, well, that's icing on the cake. And we'll find out who takes the cake tomorrow, and the grandfather clock, one of the neatest trophies in all of sports. And that'll be at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And as the sun shines down on this racetrack on a wonderful autumn afternoon, boy, Brad Keselowski, he was fastest in second practice, and he's not looking too bad right now. He's 12th on the charts.
Hey, you see one of the cars locking the wheel up in front of you, locking the left front up. But yeah, that 12 car does look good in race trim. Didn't look so good in qualifying. He went in the corner, had a, I don't know if it was bottoming out, but it didn't look good at all. But man, this car does look really good here in happy hour.
You mentioned the smoking tire in front of him. That's 34. Dennis Setzer is in that car because Tony Raines, of course, one of the guys doing double duty today. Take a look at the most laps run, and Brad right there along with Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, Ludeman, and Kenseth. And you see where they rank here in the final practice. And now Keselowski probably going to go past Joey because Joey's back in the garage area at this moment. One guy we haven't talked about yet, Mark Martin. And Mark, there he is in the 5 car. And right now, 8th on the speed charts, guys.
Yeah, and his car looks like it's pretty solid on the longer runs. Watched him in that first practice session. Wasn't real impressed with his car then. I don't know if they were just trying some things, but looks like they put it all together here, and the car looks like it's much better for Mark.
Taking a look at the 5-lap average, he is 7th quick there. He's 5th quick on the 10-lap average, and he's 2nd quick on the 15-lap average. So, Mike, what are you hearing down there?
DJ's right. They are happier with the race car than they were in that first session, although Mark says it could be a little bit better, about dead center in the corner. That's where he's really tight. They're really working on that aspect of the race car right now, trying to get it to turn just a little bit better.
Mark was one of the drivers that attended last night's function honoring Barney Hall. After 52 years, he is still going strong over on the radio side at MRN, and it was a fun affair. You and I went, and
yeah.
It was a nice evening, and congratulations to Barney. I can't imagine being around over 5 decades, a half a century in the same role.
Man, seen a lot happen throughout this sport, and been a good friend to a lot of people, and helped a lot of people along the way. But had an interesting conversation with Mark Martin there, too, before everything got started. Turned a corner, and they're much better. He said, we're not back to where we were last year yet. He said, but we're getting there.
And it was nice to see a smile on his face when he was talking about it, too, because it has been a long year. But you're right, they have come on lately. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Second practice, he managed to loop it around, but kept it off the wall, Andy.
Yeah, he did. It was kind of weird. He got really loose in one corner and then went to the other end. This is just after getting loose on the other end of the racetrack, and just back end just flies out from under him right here. Didn't hit anything.
And this might make your stomach go a little uneasy. This is what it looks like from the backside.
Looks like they got things going a lot better now, though. See,
Yeah,
the 15-lap average is 3rd.
Yeah, you watch that, you think that he'd probably just gone out on his tires. Looked like they might have had a little too much rear brake adjusted into that car at that point in time.
Here's where they stand 1 lap. Jimmie Johnson leading the way for Hendrick Motorsports. They are 5th, and Dale Jr. 15th. Of course, the last 12 races here at Martinsville have either been won by Hendrick or Joe Gibbs Racing. Hendrick has 8 of those wins. Gibbs has 4.
Yeah, we haven't seen the very fast lap from Dale Jr., but I've been watching his lap times. They look pretty good. He looks pretty solid as his car, as he gets more laps on the tires and the brakes. This has been one of his good racetracks over the years, so hopefully we can see another good effort. We've seen a few along the way here in the last 10 weeks from Junior in this race team.
Yeah, he's 6th fastest in 10-lap averages and 3rd in the 15-lap averages, so the car is pretty solid.
So as he continues to work on progress out on the track, progress back in the garage area for Jimmie Johnson, is there any, Doc?
Well, they are making some progress. I told you that Jimmy at the beginning of this section said he was having to turn it right to turn left. The car was loose all the way through the corners. Well, they have made some adjustments in the car, and Jimmy now in the garage. But here's what he had to say a moment ago prior to getting out of the car.
The car is still turning plenty strong. I turn the wheel, it does what I need. Still drag a little bit late center. I go back to the gas and I can feel it try to lock the rear down, but it's just kind of buzzing the tires on top of the track. It really didn't put it in the track. It helped. Those changes helped. I don't dislike them. It's not grabbing anything. It's trying, but it's just not grabbing yet.
And so obviously it is getting better for Jimmie Johnson. They've come back in. He's climbing back in the car to go back out. They made some adjustments on the back of the car with shocks, a little bit up front. And why is it important for Jimmy to drive it off the corner, folks? He starts 19th on Sunday. He's going to have to drive it through a lot of traffic on a very tight racetrack to get to the front. So that's why they've got to be very good and consistent up off the corner.
Great point, Doc. And one of the other things I want to talk about, we're seeing a lot of laps being laid down by all of these drivers in all 3 practice sessions. we're looking at as many as 150 total laps for these guys. Any wear and tear factors on the engine or the equipment?
Well, the short tracks, you know, you put a lot of laps on a car, but not a lot of miles. It's a half-mile racetrack. If they put 150 laps, only 75 miles. So you're not talking about a lot of wear and tear on the engine, so to speak. And really, a track like this is not that hard on an engine. It does turn a lot of RPMs right at the very end of the straightaway, but you're going up and down so much that the average RPMs are actually quite low. Now, the brakes are another issue. They'll put brand new brakes on these cars to start the race. They'll use up whatever they have for practice. They won't run those things in the race. So I like running a lot of laps here.
Yeah, and the rear end gear is something else that takes a lot of abuse here, but they'll change that also and have something fresh there.
Well, you're riding on board with Denny Hamlin. We can tell you he still is 8th in the 5-lap average, but not in the top 10 in either the 10 or 15-lap average. So they are still looking for some answers for consistency in the 11. For the third week in a row, the #1 team in the land faces a critical road challenge. ABC Saturday Night Football features DeMarco Murray and the Oklahoma Sooners trying to remain atop the BCS standings when they head to Columbia, Missouri, and face the 11th-ranked undefeated Tigers. It's Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC, starting at 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific. And one of the most interested fans of the Missouri Tigers is going to be behind the wheel of the 99, Carl Edwards. Yes, he's just coming in, and right now he's only run 20 laps. One of the fewest runs. What do you think?
I say they've been working on the car a lot. I don't know what they're changing, but they spend a lot of time in the garage area, not on the track.
With tires behind you on the 11 too, but
he may not be real happy with it.
Well, you saw the numbers there. 28th quick right now, and I'm looking to see if he doesn't even show up in the top 10 on a 5-lap average. So they've definitely been spending more time back there than they have out on the track. One of the other guys we haven't seen out on the track, but he's in the garage area, and that is last week's winner, Jamie McMurray. Mike, what's going on there?
And you know, Marty, after last week's win, I talked with Jamie and asked him about Martinsville, and he kind of surprised me. He said this is one of his favorite racetracks. Well, his tune kind of changed in between practices today. I spoke with him before this session started, and he said, I take it all back. He was joking, of course, but he's been struggling with this race car. He used the quote, he said, we're really far off, very loose. They're trying to rectify that situation right now, going to work on all 4 corners of this race car. As you can see, it's up on the scales, and they are paying very, very close attention to everything they can to make this car handle a little bit better.
All right, thanks for the update, Mike. As we go back out trackside, Jeff Burton still running second quick.
I'm telling you, he is laying down some really good laps right now. He's done 52 laps this session. He's running basically 20 flat to 2020.
Well, we've got some interesting radio. Let's listen in.
I like that better right there. The only thing I don't like about it is it does not roll right through the middle. The corner is better, but that's the straightest I've been leaving the corner. If we could make it roll the middle just a little better right there and keep the rear grip, we'd be right there. That was the most positive rear grip we've had.
Yeah, they might need to tell him he needs to leave that thing alone.
Yeah.
That'll work out of it probably during this race.
It sounded to me like that was after the last run. Whatever they did here, they just tweaked on a little bit, and then this is the best run he's made all day, and I don't see another car out there that's doing what he's doing. I mean, he's putting these 20.0 second laps together lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, Jeff Burton looked like he was going to win this race in the spring, and he had a flat tire that created a bad finish for him, but this has always been a racetrack. He's been very competitive. We see all the Childress cars up here. I think you'll see all 3 of them run in the top 10 tomorrow.
Yeah, we saw the Biffle charity function that he did on Monday, and Jeff Burton was there. I talked to him about this race and how he felt about it, and he was very confident coming here that he was going to be at least one of the cars to beat.
Oh, he's 7th best on the 15-lap average, and we've seen a lot of cars making a number of changes. Let's swing on over to the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer.
Marty, the reason weight and balance is so critical here, you're under a lot of braking. So what a crew chief wants to do, he knows he's going to burn off 130 pounds of fuel in the rear. So what we're going to do, like they were saying a while ago, I'm so loose getting down in the corner. The reason that is, you take the tungsten and you slide the weight percentages back. You put the aluminum spacers in the front. Because as a driver goes through those transitions, when you've got air pressure buildup in the front wheels and you got that fuel burning off, the car's not going to turn getting in the corner. Then the drivers are going to go after the throttle right in the center. The car's going to get loose off. So if you can get your guy to buy in on it, take that weight, move it to the rear, knowing it's going to go through that transition, you're going to be a lot more successful here in Martinsville. Guys?
All right, thank you, Tim. As we get another glimpse at Kyle Busch right now, Kyle 23rd on the speed chart. And what direction are they headed, Doc?
Okay. Hey guys, Kyle Busch in the earlier section said the car was just absolutely sideways, and the car was going in the corner, middle of the corner. And it looked like he was dirt tracking coming out of turn 4. They have made major changes on the car for this session, and Kyle a moment ago said the car is much better. I have a lot more forward bite on the car. He said, but he came in a moment ago and wanted them to change the front bar, the anti-sway bar. He said the car is just really, really touchy when I get back in the throttle in the middle of the corner coming off, and hoping that change in the front sway bar would make it a difference in being able to be a little more generous with the throttle.
Well, 5 short track wins on his plate, but none of them here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and it seems to be a common theme with the JGR cars right now, because we heard Denny Hamlin talk about his car being freer than what he wanted, and Kyle Busch and Joey Logano took the 11 setup back in the spring, put that in their cars. They adapted to that. And so it sounds like that for some reason, whether it's the racetrack and then this time of year and maybe the tire, I think it's the same tire, but something's got all of these cars looser, and so they're having to make some adjustments that I'm pretty sure they weren't anticipating.
Clint Boyer, better keep your eye on him tomorrow. Here's something interesting, guys. He is the only driver in all practice sessions to be in the top 6. He was 6th in first practice, 2nd in second, and here he is 3rd in third.
Well, I think that we're going to see Clint Boyer have another chance. I mean, we saw what he did at Loudon, New Hampshire in that first race of the chase, won that race, a racetrack very similar to that, just half-mile shorter, but I think Clint Boyer will be right there in the mix when it comes time to win.
He'll start 17th on Sunday. So as these guys continue to knock down the laps, we're going to step aside just for a brief moment. Tony Stewart back in the garage area. They're still looking for some answers. He is 35th. Back here at Happy Hour in Martinsville, not a lot of guys super happy because they're doing a lot of work. They're down to about 13 minutes left in this session, as we have seen some very big swings, some minor adjustments, and all of a sudden we're seeing guys strapping on some new Goodyears and going out and laying down some numbers.
Yeah, time's running out. These crews are trying to get everything right. Just a few more minutes left to try a few spring changes, maybe shock changes. You see a lot of things going on down there, and they're putting new tires on to kind of assess it. Doc, what's going on?
Well, Andy, exactly what you're saying. It may not be good news for the competition, because Chad Canals has gotten this 48 car exactly where Jimmy Johnson wants it. He said the car is turning strong. It got a little bit of good grip coming up off the corner, and the car is very stable, entry, middle, and exit. So let's bolt some new Goodyears on, fill it up with fuel, and go out and see what we got, which is exactly what they're doing right now.
Yeah, he's going to like the lap times, Doc. He's out there running just under 20 seconds now. Put those new tires on, and he's pushed the right buttons on that car for Jimmy. He's really laying down some good laps.
Well, when you've got a car that is turning really good and sometimes too good, and you're having to work to tighten it up, you're only going to make the car go faster, plus you're going to make it better in the longer run. So that's really the scenario that you look for coming here. When it's the other way, you always fight a lot in trying to make it turn, then you hurt the exit of the corner. So these guys are good at making those adjustments, and look like they've got the car where they want it.
Let's slide back to Jamie McMurray, because he has jumped up to the 4th quickest one lap, and he has strapped on some new Goodyears and is looking pretty good here on this run.
Yeah, he looks okay. He was fast, and he jumped up there with a fast lap. But as I watched his lap times, you need to be running somewhere between 20 seconds flat and 20:15 in a 10-12 lap run. And Jamie's fallen off a little more than that. He's up in the 27 was his last lap. So they've got some work to do yet to try to make this car good enough for a longer run.
See right there, he just barely hooked the curb with the left front tire.
Drop a little bit further back, check in once again with Carl Edwards in the 99. Edwards has jumped up to the 15th spot in the final practice. Mike, you've got more on Carl?
Yeah, Marty, and I actually have a question for Andy. Andy, you remember those days when you were working on the race car, practice wasn't going very well at all, and then a pit reporter walked up to you and bugged you between sessions? What was that like for you? How'd you respond to that?
It's aggravating sometimes, Mike.
Yeah, I would imagine. So you can understand why when the last time the 99 car was in its garage stall, I kind of walked over toward Bob Osborne. I kind of kept my distance, but Carl Edwards had some fun with me, knowing I was scanning his radio. He came over his radio and said, "Hey, Mike Massaro, I dare you to interview Bob Osborne right now." I didn't do that because I know they were a little frustrated. Instead, I spoke with their car chief, Pierre Coutel. He told me, look, we just were not fast in the early session today. We changed just about everything we could on this race car, everything except the decals, he said. It's made a bit of a difference. He jumped up from 27th on the speed chart to where he is right now. So they've gained a little bit, but Carl's still thinking the car's a little bit tight. I'm still not going to talk to Bob Osborne for a while.
Good move, Mike.
Yeah, hey, Mike, Carl's been doing this, quite a few races now. He keeps saying, I'm going to lighten Bob up. He says he's way too serious.
Yeah, Bob is serious, but he gets the job done up there. See, he's watching the car go around the racetrack from the top of the hauler.
Starting to get a little loose in, like the front brakes are fading a little bit. I got some extra rear brake. And I start lifting off the brake, it gets better. Rolls around the center real nice. Just slightly free, laid off, but not bad. 10-4-33.
33, obviously a reference to 20.33 seconds. So Carl and Bob still working on it. They've got a ways to go. And Denny Hamlin, we haven't checked in with him recently, and they're just ready to roll him out. Doc, what changes?
Well, like we saw with the 48 a moment ago, they have bolted on sticker tires, filled it up with fuel. They're going to send Denny out for what may be his final run of happy hour. Now, I like what Mike Ford has done, the crew chief here. He is a very, very analytical individual. He's worked with different kinds of setups, trying to get the best drive off for Denny. They moved some weight around in the back of the car. You heard what Tim Brewer was saying a little bit ago down in the Craftsman Tech Garage. That makes a major change on a car here on a short track like Martinsville. They've made some weight changes. They have made some adjustments on the front end of the car. And Denny hoping to go out now and have the drive off that he really wants, because about 15 minutes ago, Denny said, the lack of drive off is killing me. He really wants to be able to use that throttle coming up off the corner. I think Mike Ford, these guys hope they've got it fixed now. We're going to see.
Well, they better get their stuff together, I can tell you, and get that drive off, because the guy they're trying to catch in the points, Jimmy Johnson, they've made the right changes with that race car. He's just laying down lap after lap. That's very impressive as he puts more laps on the tires. So, but Mike Ford's good at this. He knows exactly what Denny Hamlin's looking for. I talked to both of them before practice yesterday, and it's amazing how much alike they think about this racetrack, and he knows what he needs to give Denny, and I'm sure that they'll get there.
Just to mention the last two laps by Jimmy Johnson, 2014 and a 2012, right in that target zone you were talking about, DJ. We'll update you on Denny's laps when we come back. Happy hour's winding down. 7 minutes left. Minutes are winding down here in happy hour at Martinsville Speedway as we get ready for tomorrow's race. You'll see it at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Countdown beginning at 12 noon on ESPN2. And we've been noticing, keep you up to date on the tire situation. Denny Hamlin definitely picked up, and Jimmy Johnson sort of leveled off a little bit.
Yeah, I think they still might be a little bit free with their setup. I think they might have to tighten Jimmy up just a little bit more. But the car really looks solid. Denny Hamlin riding along with. Looks like they've made their car better for Denny.
And another couple of cars we were watching that were running pretty close together. That guy right there, Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton.
Yeah, I've been watching these two. They've been really right together the whole time. And both of them look really good, especially after they've run a few laps. And I think Doc's got more.
Actually, Andy, if you're a Jeff Gordon fan and you're watching at home, you should take heart, because Jeff a moment ago said on the radio, this is by far the best this car has been. Steve looked hard on these guys, have made the changes, made the adjustments. Jeff said the car's a little bit snug in the middle, but is very stable on entry, and it's really, really good on drive off. So the 7-time Martinsville winner will be a factor on Sunday. Now, I know you got a lot of reasons to watch on Sunday, but let me give you another one. Folks, Kevin Harvick in his 29 car, they made changes in the car. And Kevin says now the car's even better than it was before. I've heard two other crew chiefs say, wow, that 29 car is really, really strong, including Chad Canals a moment ago. Harvick says the car has such good drive off and bite coming off the corner. We got something for him on Sunday. And folks, Kevin Harvick starts back in 36th position. It's going to be fun watching him come to the front of the field. Mike?
Doc, after qualifying third on Friday, Greg Biffle's confidence was sky high. Came into the day saying the only place they needed to improve was on long runs. They worked on that throughout the course of both sessions today. Feel like they've improved upon it. I spoke with Biffle just after the conclusion of this session as he got out of the car. I asked him what his expectations are now heading into Sunday. He just held his hand above his head to his left and said, the grandfather clock. He wants to win, guys. He expects he can.
All right, Mike. The grandfather clock, as we mentioned, one of the prize trophies of NASCAR. As we go back out trackside, we mentioned Jeff Burton and how good he's looking.
I really like the line that he's running. Now you see him coming in, but his car's able to really arc into the corner, and he doesn't have to really hug the curb getting in the corner. I think it really helps that exit, and I really like the way his car looks there. It's a little different than most that I've seen, even a little better than Gordon.
Yeah, and that line is allowing him to do what he was talking about earlier, drive it straighter off the corner. And anytime you do that, you're not going to slip those rear tires as much.
See Scott Speed in the 82 pulling in as well, as we are just about 10 seconds away. As we get another look at Eric Almirola, they strap some tires on and jump up to the number 9 spot. His best lap, a 19.92 second effort.
Well, that's the way to wrap up a practice session. Makes everybody feel pretty good about it when you can put that fast lap down, move up in the top 10.
And there is the flag, so the session is over. And as we take a look, guys, what are your final thoughts here? What do we look forward to tomorrow?
Well, we see Denny Hamlin start on the pole, but it didn't look like his car was really as good as it needed to be in the long run. Looks like they have a little work to do. Jimmy's car looked pretty good in a short run.
Oh, we've got so many guys. This is going to be an incredible race. Kevin Harvick, as Doc was pointing out, has a fast race car coming from the back. We've got a lot of other guys that have fast cars. So they're going to have to be slam, bam, running into each other. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. I love this track.
7 in the top 10 on speeds are chase contenders. The non-chasers, McMurray, Almirola, and Mark Martin. Don't forget, NASCAR Now is going to be on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and 10 Eastern on ESPN2. And the NASCAR Now Monday edition, 5 Eastern, also on ESPN2. And our coverage begins at Martinsville, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, with Countdown beginning it all at 12 noon over on ESPN2. So tomorrow we go racing. Coming up next, it's ESPN2 College Football Primetime, North Carolina versus Miami. Who's going to win it? Tune in tomorrow to find out. For our entire crew, I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again.